Karen caused chaos in cooking class. The chef had her removed in front of everyone. The community center's cooking class was supposed to be a haven of creativity, a place where neighbors bonded over sizzling pans and shared recipes. But the air was thick with tension on that fateful Tuesday evening, the kind that makes your skin prickle before a storm. Karen, a newcomer with a sharp tongue and an air of entitlement, had already made herself infamous in town. She'd berated baristas, argued with cashiers, and now she'd set her sights on Chef Maria's kitchen, a sacred space where precision and respect reigned supreme. The class had started smoothly. Maria, a seasoned chef with a warm smile but zero tolerance for nonsense, was guiding 12 students through a delicate recipe for coco vin. The room hummed with the clatter of knives and the aroma of simmering wine. Karen, however, had other plans. From the moment she walked in, her voice cut through the harmony like a dull blade. "This recipe is wrong," she declared, barely 5 minutes into the lesson, waving her phone as if it held the gospel of French cuisine. Maria, ever patient, suggested Karen follow the class recipe for consistency. Karen's eyes narrowed. "I know better," she snapped, tossing her ingredients into a pot with reckless abandon. The first spark of chaos came when Karen, ignoring Maria's measurements, dumped an entire bottle of red wine into her dish. It splashed over the counter, staining aprons and drawing gasps from her classmates. "It's called improvisation," Karen scoffed, dismissing their stares. But the room's rhythm faltered. Her neighbor, Tim, a shy retiree, politely asked her to lower her voice. Karen whirled on him. "Mind your own pot, old man," she barked, loud enough to make the room freeze. Maria's smile tightened, but she pressed on, redirecting the class to focus. The tension simmered as Karen's antics escalated. She snatched ingredients from other stations, claiming they weren't using them right. She criticized Maria's technique, loudly proclaiming her own culinary expertise from watching cooking shows. When a young mother, Sarah, accidentally bumped Karen's elbow, Karen exploded. "You're ruining my dish," she shrieked, shoving Sarah's cutting board, sending carrots tumbling to the floor. The room went silent, save for the hiss of a forgotten pan. Maria stepped forward, her voice calm but ironclad. "Karen, that's enough. Apologize and let's move on." Karen laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Apologize? To her? She's the one who can't cook." She gestured wildly, knocking over a jar of flour that burst into a white cloud. The class erupted into chaos, students coughing, pans clattering, and Karen shouting over it all, demanding respect. That's when the twist came. From the back of the room, a soft voice cut through the din. "Karen, you're wrong." It was Lila, a quiet teenager who'd barely spoken all class. Lila, who'd been watching, absorbing every moment, stepped forward, her hands trembling but her voice steady. "You're not just ruining the class. You're hurting people who came here to learn. My mom's in chemo, and this class is her only joy. Stop it." The room froze. Karen's face faltered, her bravado cracking under Lila's raw honesty. For a moment it seemed she might back down. But pride is a stubborn beast. "Don't lecture me, kid," Karen hissed, doubling down. She turned to Maria, pointing a finger. "This class is a joke, and you're a fraud." That was the final straw. Maria, her patience shattered, set down her spatula with a deliberate clink. "Karen, you're done. Leave my kitchen. Now." The class held its breath as Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't kick me out," she sputtered, but Maria's gaze was unrelenting. 2 assistants appeared, gently but firmly escorting Karen toward the door. She screamed obscenities, her voice echoing as she was led out, her dish abandoned, a burnt mess on the stove. The door slammed shut, and the silence that followed was deafening. Maria exhaled, her composure returning. "Let's clean up and start over," she said softly, her voice a balm to the rattled class. But the aftermath lingered. Sarah, shaken, wiped tears as she swept up carrots. Tim, usually reserved, helped Lila clean the flour-dusted counter, whispering, "You were brave, kid." The class rallied, finishing their dishes with a quiet determination, but the joy was tainted. Karen's chaos had left scars on the evening, on the community's trust, and on the fragile hope of those like Sarah and Lila's mom, who sought solace in small moments. As the class ended, Maria gathered everyone. Cooking is about respect for the food, for each other, for this space, she said. Tonight, we saw what happens when that's forgotten. Let's hold on to what brings us together. The students nodded, their dishes imperfect but hard-earned. Lila's mom, frail but smiling, hugged her daughter, whispering thanks for her courage. The next day, Karen's outburst was the talk of the town. Some laughed, others shook their heads, but the sting of her actions lingered. She'd caused chaos, yes, but the real tragedy was her refusal to see the harm she'd done. The community center posted a notice. Karen was banned, her name a cautionary tale. Yet the class continued, stronger, bound by shared resilience and a renewed appreciation for the simple act of creating together. What do you think? Where does the line fall between standing your ground and respecting a community's harmony?